Welcome to the first of 4 videos that will help you understand more about what we are learning within this unit than the activities in other videos. This video will focus on education and religion. As you view, be sure to take notes, but these notes should not be copying everything you see word for word, but just an overview of the topics to make sure you understand them. You can always come back to them again if you need to. After the American Revolution, Georgia's leaders began to take an extreme interest in education and religion. Therefore, they established the University of Georgia. This was done so through the General Assembly, which is Georgia's legislative body. They set aside land in 1784. Then in 1785, Abraham Baldwin, who was actually one of the signers of the U.S. Constitution for Georgia, he wrote the charter for the school saying that not only the wealthy, but everyone should have a right to education, meaning UGA becomes the first state-supported university in the United States. It's a pretty significant feat for education at this time, to educate everyone, not just the wealthy, which had been commonplace for many decades. And here are the famous arches from the University of Georgia. The trustees of the university named Abraham Baldwin as the first president of the university, and construction began in 1801 and later in the years when the doors opened. At the time, it was not called the University of Georgia, but Franklin College in honor of Benjamin Franklin, and then becomes the University of Georgia later. The University of Georgia has expanded in size and academic reputation over the past 130 years, becoming one of the most difficult state-supported universities in the state of Georgia to get into today. And it's located in Athens, home of the famous Bulldog football team. Louisville became Georgia's capital, state capital in 1785 after Augusta. During the Revolutionary War, because Savannah was under British control, the patriots of the state moved the state capital to Augusta, but the state legislature wasn't quite satisfied with that location, so they then moved it to Louisville. This was located near an old Indian trading post and the Okeechee River, and it was named after France's King Louis for his support during the American Revolution. And it was more centrally located to the moving and growing population of the state. And here you can see where it was located on the map. It took over 10 years for the government to move there, but it helped develop Louisville socially and economically. But then an outbreak of malaria caused officials to move the capital again to Milledgeville, where it remained for quite a long period of time. And here is the market house. That was the general market for the new city. After the Revolutionary War, churches began to grow. During the colonial time period, the Anglican Church, the Church of England, was the main church. But now that Georgia was no longer a colony, but now a state, many people, now these new U.S. citizens, wanted to separate and break away from the church that they had always known and create a new religion, just like they had created a new country. So they began setting up new churches that took on many of the aspects of the Anglican Church, but then some of them took on completely different aspects, completely new ways of showing their faith. The two that were the most impactful in Georgia were the Baptists and Methodists. The Baptist Church had started to come up in the colonies, but after the Revolutionary War, more and more people began to join, and they were known for their independence in their congregations and very emotional preaching. They also established the first African American Baptist church in Savannah that was led by its members, most of which were slaves. And there is that church. You can actually go on tours there if you go visit Savannah. It's pretty interesting because you can see remnants of things from the Underground Railroad. Patriotic Anglicans who refused the King of England as the head of the church started the Methodist Church after the American Revolution. And they used what were called circuit riders, that were trained ministers that would travel around the countryside preaching and performing sacraments and trying to convert people to the Methodist faith. This was one of the oldest Methodist churches in Atlanta, originally in a log cabin. And here is an image of a circuit rider. And that is the end of the first PowerPoint video. The next one will talk about the land policies that came about after the Revolutionary War.